Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, everyone. Alhamdulillah. Welcome, welcome. Inshallah, we are waiting for our special guest to join. So thank you for being here on time. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Jazakallah khairan, Sami. Your eyes are beautiful. MashaAllah. I'm very honored. As some of you know, we have a very special guest joining, inshallah, and I will wait till he arrives before I do a formal introduction. But alhamdulillah, thank you for again making time on this beautiful Jummah to spend some time with us. Alhamdulillah, I hope everyone's doing well. It's a beautiful day here in sunny California. Inshallah, all the lives that I broadcast are up for a day. I think the limit or the limitation I have with recording these permanently is space on my phone. That's always a big issue for me because I have way too many apps and other things. So I leave them up for, the 24-hour period after the live starts so that if you want to, anybody wants to record, you can record with screen recorder. It's a very easy way to do that. There might be segments or clips. So inshallah, you can try that. Assalamu alaikum again. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I am very honored to have a special guest join me, and I am just waiting for him to join so that we can bring him on and use the time that we have to learn from him, inshallah. He is a friend, a relative, a teacher of mine, so inshallah I look forward to, again, having a great conversation with him. And hopefully you guys will participate. So use the question box feature. It's a very efficient way of getting your question answered. We will try to do our best to answer your questions in the time that we have. So inshallah, if you're not familiar with that feature on lives, look at the bottom of your screen right next to the comment box. There's a little question mark. If you click on that, you can submit your question. Just FYI, these are not private questions. We will, as we go through them, they will be shown to everybody. So if you want to send a private question, you can DM me, or if you have my personal contact information, then I invite you to use WhatsApp or iMessage or some other feature to send me a private question. The reason why is in order to access my DMs on... Actually, you know what? I can, no, let me take that back, because alhamdulillah, Instagram, the desktop app, I can get messages. So in fact, if you have questions and they are of a private nature, you don't want your name to be disclosed, but it's an important question and that you'd like an answer, then inshallah you can DM me, and I will use the desktop feature of Instagram to access the private question, and of course I will not disclose your personal information, inshallah. So let me just check with our guest where he is. Bismillah, he just had messaged me. So hopefully he'll be getting on soon. Again, assalamu alaikum. Thank you for being here, everyone. We are waiting for our special guest speaker to join. I had just given instructions for those of you who are here and waiting that we will try to get questions answered, but I would really appreciate it if instead of... Oh, here we go. Alhamdulillah, here's our special guest. Inshallah, let me go ahead and invite respected teacher on to the live. Bismillah. Welcome, Ustadh Feraidoon. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Ustadh?
Alhamdulillah. It is an honor for myself and everybody here who is joining to have you here. I've had several requests for a long time, actually, to do a program with you or something with you. So here we are.
May Allah bless you. Thank you, Ustadh, for having me. May Allah bless you for all the work that you do for our community. tirelessly, especially on social media, which is a platform that's really the way to reach a lot of the young people and a lot of the millennials and people who, especially at this time that you can't go anywhere. So
Right.
people are stuck and the massages are closed. So it's a good medium and platform. So may Allah reward you and give you strength to continue.
Ameen wa ajmain. Thank you. We are in need of your du'as. I was just letting everybody know that we, inshallah, are going to try to use the time that we have together to get a lot of great insight from you, and then also try to address any questions. So with that said, let's go ahead and begin, because inshallah, I know there's people who are eager to hear from you. I don't think you need an introduction. I personally don't. You are very well known, mashallah, by many people. But just in case there's one person on this live who may not have heard of you before, can you just share some of your background? You're, mashallah, a student of knowledge. You've been studying for as long as I've known you, but you also have a special niche that you are globally known for. Can you please speak a little bit about your background, inshallah?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Jazakallah khair again for having me on this platform. May Allah reward you and bless you. And may Allah reward and bless everyone who joined in and tuned in to this program. We hope that it's beneficial first and foremost for ourselves, for me, and our families, and then for everyone who is attending it, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we are all students and we will remain students for as long as we live. And that's the path of our tradition. So it's always a path of learning. So it doesn't stop. There's not a point where you say, you know what, I've learned enough and I'm done. And then there are moments in your life when you read things and you understand things and something comes in your head. And then you look at your teachers and realize how insignificant you are and how little you know about anything. And that's really what our tradition is about silsila and chain. So you're connected to this chain that doesn't give you arrogance, because it always keeps you humble, right? But it also gives you that there are more to learn. So then you have that energy. I want to learn more because I know that there's more to learn. I've been passionate about poetry since I was a kid, and it was something that I loved. I used to memorize songs and poems like since I was like a little kid, and in languages I didn't even understand what it was like. I just love poetry, but especially Mawlana Rumi's poetry, Saadi Shirazi, Hafiz Shirazi, Attar Nishapuri, some of the great Persian classic that the Afghans and Iranians and the people in the subcontinent, Indians, not the young generation, but the older generation. Because when I meet a lot of the grandparents, Indian and Pakistanis, they all have the Saadi memorized and by heart in Farsi, which is really amazing because they learned it as part of the curriculum in India. But anyways, I just had a love for it, and I just wanted to learn it for myself. It wasn't like I wanted to memorize a poem to tell somebody about it. I just love memorizing poetry, and it was something that gives me a lot of tranquility and solace and a way of just going inward, because the world that I lived and grew up was it was turmoil. It was always, during war in Afghanistan and migrating from one country to another country, from one nation to another nation. And then you end up in a place like in America where you don't speak the language, you don't know the people, you don't know the religion, you don't know anything. And just to, find your way in there was really difficult. And it's still difficult. It's not something that I can say, we have reached it. We are struggling, our children are struggling, those who are born in this country. So poetry has been something that kind of like made sense of the situation that I was in, like whether it was triumph, difficulties, ease, victory, failure, all of them. The poetry came and helped me out to get to make sense out of the situation. So I love Mawlana Rumi. He's my favorite poet. And I've been trying to share what I learned. That's all it is. Like what I learned from my teachers and from the books, I just want to share it with people so they can benefit as I benefit from it.
MashaAllah. For as long as I've known you, I've known this about you. You're also an entrepreneur. You have a business named after Maulana Rumi, MashaAllah, and you've globally traveled to share his beautiful works. And we're eager here in the U.S. I know many of us have seen you in the UK, in Australia, in different parts of the world, Malaysia, doing different programs. But I think we're really eager. You have an audience here in the U.S. to hear from you. So that's why, again, we're so appreciative of your time today to
appreciate
spend
that.
your
Thank
time
you
with us.
for your kind words, Ustadh John. Really appreciate it.
Oh,
May Allah bless you.
alhamdulillah. Thank you. Now, this topic of the value of time, which we're going to talk about today, I really, really want your insights from all that you've just shared with us about, again, paying attention to what's going on around you and how poetry can help you find some peace. I love that perspective. But even, alhamdulillah, we have so many wisdoms in our tradition that really talk about the importance of time, the value of time. And there's one specific hadith. I know you're very familiar with this hadith, and I would love to go line by line with this hadith and get your insights on how we can, again, have some perspective with what we're going through right now with this pandemic, with Ramadan around the corner, and a lot of people struggling to make sense of how to, have a peaceful or a good experience for this blessed month coming in the situation that we're in. So I'm going to read the hadith, and then I'll go ahead and just line by line ask you to share your thoughts on it. So for everybody listening, this is from the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, and the Prophet ﷺ said in the following hadith, he said, take advantage of 5 matters before 5 other matters. Your youth before you become old, your health before you fall sick, your wealth before you become poor, your free time before you become preoccupied, and your life before your death. So this hadith, again, so powerful, so much wisdom in here. So if you will, please, Ustadh Feraidoon, take us through this hadith. Let's look at this first line with regards to youth before you become old. Please share some insights about, for any of, again, the people listening right now who may be youth themselves or have children, any perspective you have to offer about the value of that statement.
Bismillah. Many of our scholars, if you look at the traditional scholars, Imam Ghazali, and even coming to like Imam Haddad, who's very close to our era, who in Khaj Abdullah al-Ansari, and even Maulana Rumi, they all wrote about this subject of life and the concept of life and concept of time, which is at the essence of the teaching of Islam. I mean, the Quran. If you look at the Quran, there's constantly verses about time, about dahr, about asr, about fajr, wal fajr, wal layalin ashr. Allah mentions the fajr, and then what are these 10 nights? What are the 10 days? What are the period of asr? Why is Allah swearing by asr? Allah doesn't swear by insignificant things. Like when you say Allah swore by the bee, like why is Allah mentioning a bee? Now we know what a bee is. Now people didn't know. Some people knew, the awliya knew, but the general public, they didn't know. Like what is it? Why? Subhanallah, look at the bee and what it does for creation, not just for the human being. I'm not talking about just the honey being a shifa, a healing, and a sweet, but I'm talking about just pollinating. But anyways, the first part of this hadith is, youth is a gift from God, and you only know it when you lose it. And this is the sad thing, that everybody, you try to tell them, because we missed out on our youth. And one of the things that Imam Haddad says about in the lives of man, he says that just think about one thing. Why did Allah give you so much energy during youth? He didn't give you when you were a kid. He didn't give you when you're old. He gave you just when you're a youth, a young man. He gave you so much energy. Like you're just bursting out with energy, right? He said there's only one reason he gave you that. Because the reward during youth that you can collect, you can't collect it when you're old. It's so much reward you can do. You can do Qiyam al-Layl when you're young, and the reward is multiple times than when you're old. Because, see, the thing is, here's the secret of young and old. The Persian poet said, در جوانی توبه کردن خصلت پیغمبری است ورنه هر گبری به پیری می شود پرهیزگار. He said, those youth, young people who make tawbah in the prime of their youth, when they're young, they take on the characteristics of the prophets.
SubhanAllah.
He said, let me tell you, even the fire worshippers, when they get old, they become righteous. Because at old age, you don't have any energy to do any wrong. A 75-year-old man, he's not welcome at the club anymore, right? He's not welcome at the parties anymore. Like, he doesn't have the looks, he doesn't have the strength, he doesn't belong there. Hey, it's all the youth. But when a young man turns to Allah, it is powerful. And this is why Allah give you that energy, dude, when you're young, so you can collect all these rewards and make your bank account, the real bank account that's going to be opened up on the Day of Judgment, fill it up when you're young. So Abdullah Ansari said a beautiful poem that became a proverb. He says, Dar kudaki pasti, dar javani masti, dar piri susti, khuda ra ke parasti. He said, if during your childhood you play, when you're young, you want to be must and you want to, just party and have a good time. And when you're old, you don't, I'm so tired, I don't have any energy. When are you going to worship Allah? SubhanAllah. Those are your three stations of life. Either you're a child, you're a youth, you're an old man. So this is why it's important to take advantage. The Arabs say, latest shabab ya'udu, that, I wish that my youth will come back. It's a famous Arabic proverb. But the word that's used in there is later. And later in Arabic, Quranic Arabic, is a vain wish that will not come true. Ya laytani kuntu turaba, the Quran says. They would say on the Day of Judgment, the kuffar, they say, wish that we were dust. The scholars of Quran, they say, then why isn't it that they become dust? What if their wish gets accepted, right? And they become dust like the animal, and they don't get punished in the fire. But this is a later, means a wish that doesn't come true, right? A wish that doesn't come true. It's impossible wish. And that's why once you use your youth, you lose it, you're done with it. You will not have that energy. So my advice to myself, to everyone, I mean, youth for us, according to Sayyidina Umar, it goes up to age 40. Like that's the era of like young man, shabab. You have to use that energy for good. Whatever good that is. That doesn't mean, see, people think, making this mistake, that I have to sit all the time, I have a subha, say subhanallah. That's not what Allah is asking you. That's not what He's asking you. Right now, you can do so much good that Allah will be pleased with you. Do your du'as, do that. Help people, call people. Like, people that you haven't talked to, old people, see if they need anything. Drop some groceries by their door and send them a text. I just dropped some groceries, don't go shopping because I just went shopping. Right? Help people. We made some food, drop it off to the neighbor. There's so much. You use that energy. When you're 95 years old, you can't do that. You can't go get groceries and drop it off to somebody else. But do it now, that when you get old, then somebody will drop off groceries for you. Because it's a cycle. Life is a cycle. You reap what you plant, what you sow.
So beautiful. So many reflections. Jazakumullah khairan. Another thing that came to mind as you were speaking was, please correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't also the youth who commit themselves to the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala among those who are promised the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yeah, that's a beautiful reminder, because there's on Day of Judgment, one thing people have to understand, Day of Judgment is the last day that there's a sun.
SubhanAllah.
That's it. It's the last day. That's why it's called the last day. Because paradise, there's no sun. You're always in the shade. So Day of Judgment, the sun is so close that people are sweating. Right? There's no shade. Everybody's looking everywhere. There's no shade. And then Allah says in the Hadith Qudsi, beautiful Hadith, that the day that there's no shade, 7 categories of people will be under my shade. And one of those is the one you just mentioned. A young man, right? Who grew up in remembrance of Allah. But the second, another one, 2 has to do with shabab and desire. A man who has a beautiful woman comes to him and he says, hey, come for an illegal relationship. And he replies, says, I fear Allah. That's the person, he's in the shade of Allah on that day, when there's no shade as well. But there's a beautiful hadith. All hadith are beautiful. Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhu, he narrates it. He said, ni'matani maghbunun. There's ni'matan, in Arabic you have tathniya, which is 2 which means to do, dual. So you have singular, you have dual, you have plural in Arabic. نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثيرا من الناس. Right? So there's two blessings. He says that most people, they take it for granted. Majority of people, these two blessings. What are those? As-siha wal-faragh is good health, and it is free time. Like, what do we do with our time? Time, Imam Ghazali said this, Rumi said this, Ansari said this, Attar said this. I've come across this statement in so many books. Al-waqtu sayf. The time is like a sword. If you don't cut with it, it will cut you. So you have to use the time to go forward, right? Don't let time cut you, because the next thing you know, it's like years pass and decades pass, and then you're at the end of your life, and you're like, oh my God, what did I do with my life?
SubhanAllah. Yeah. Amazing. Jazakumullah khairan. And that's a good segue into the next portion of this hadith, that for those of who are entering, Jazakumullah khairan for being here. We're here with Ustadh Feraidoon Mojadedi, and we are speaking about the value of time. We related a beautiful hadith that was recorded in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, which is regarding 5 matters the Prophet ﷺ advised us to take advantage of. And so Ustadh Feraidoon just talked about youth before becoming old. Now the next part of the hadith is your health before you fall sick. So if you can please take us through this part of the hadith, inshallah.
Yeah, health is one of the greatest blessings that Allah has given humanity. And a lot of time, one of the things that we forget is that we don't get up in the morning and say, Ya Allah, thank you for not giving me a toothache. But when we have a toothache, we get up with a complaint, right? But when we don't have it, we don't say it. And this is the blessings of Allah. It's وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you try to enumerate the blessings of Allah, the Quran says, if you want to count, you sit down one day, say, no, I'm going to count the blessings of Allah. You can count from now to eternity, you will not be finished. There's no way you can enumerate, because Allah is infinite, and His blessings are infinite when He gives. It comes from the source that is infinite, right? So health is, one of the it's mentioned in a few books. Our beloved Sheikh mentioned it as a statement of Imam Shafi, or Arabic proverb, that good health is like a crown that is on the head of every healthy person. Good health is like a crown that is on the head of every healthy person, that only the sick can see it. Now, when I had an operation many years ago, when I was in college, I had an operation. Then I went home, and they said you're going to be good in 2 days. Then I was in bed for like 2-3 weeks. I couldn't get up. Something went wrong. And my friends used to come and visit me. We used to play basketball every day. I'm like 20 years old. And I was looking at them. I swear I didn't know this saying, but when I heard this saying, it made perfect sense. When I looked at them, man, what a blessing they're playing basketball afterwards. I can't look up because I get dizzy and I fall. And did you realize that it is really, you're the king and the queen if you're healthy? And this is why Allah asks you on the Yawm al-Qiyamah, didn't I give you good health? This is Allah will ask you, didn't I give you good health? So those times that we are healthy, we have to be grateful to that, because sickness will come. Now, here's the thing about sickness, because many people are suffering, they're sick, they're going through trials and tribulation of life. One Abdul Hajj said, what good is a body that doesn't have pain, right? What good is a body that doesn't have pain? We don't ask for pain. Like, we don't ask for pain. This is not part of a religion to ask for, Ya Allah, give me pain. But if you get pain, know that Allah is just giving you something to get you closer to Him. You get close to Allah through pain. Rumi said, everybody makes dhikr. He said, everybody makes dhikr. But there's a dhikr. He said, خواندن بیدرد از افسردگی است. خواندن با درد از دلبردگی است. He said, to call upon Allah without pain, come on, anybody can do that. But to call upon God in pain, he said, that is the way of the lovers. Because when you're in pain, see, everybody's looking for the Ismul A'zam. What is the greatest name of Allah? How many books you have read? They say, they're looking for the greatest name of Allah to call upon Him. You know what our scholars, they say about this, the greatest name of Allah? That when you call upon Him, He answers you. is the name that doesn't make sense to you. You're
Right.
like, when you're, that is the greatest, because Allah knows you're calling Him. Nobody else knows. Only you know, and Allah knows. Because that yearning, that that you're doing when you're in pain, who are you doing that for? You're calling upon Allah. And that is why pain, Attar Nishapuri, they ask him, because, he had a lot of, people had pain, they were complaining. He said, Kufr kafir ra wa din din dar ra. He said, let me tell you what the kafir wants, those who disbelieve in God, and what the people of deen wants. The zuhad, the people of zuhud, and the people of religion, and the people of fiqh, and the people of spirituality. He said, the people of kufr, they want their kufr. They want their drinking, their partying, their fornication, their dancing. They want their kufr. That's what they want, right? He said, the people of deen, what do they want? They want deen. They want fasting. They want dhikr, and they want do this. He said, you know what Attar wants? A drop of pain.
Subhanallah.
A drop of pain. Because he knew that pain will get him so close to Allah that all of these people are crawling through to God. He'll be flying to God. So if you have pain, know that you're in special attention. You're in special attention. And Allah is giving you that in order to purify you and to increase you in rank and get you qurba to Him. So we don't ask for it, but if you've got it, it's kind of like sitting on a gold mine. Sitting on a gold mine. And wallahi, if people don't have pain, some people will never be connected to Allah. Never be connected to Allah. It is pain that connects him, and that connection is priceless. That connection is so powerful that on the day of judgment you would say, Ya Allah, why did you give me pain for a year? You should have given me for 100 years of my life. Because now you know the reward of it. Now you know your station. That, Bibi Aisha narrates a beautiful hadith about pain. That the Prophet ﷺ said it removes pain is expiation for your sins, right? And she says, really? He said, even if a thorn goes into the body of a believer and they remove it, and that little pinch, ouch, because thorn that, he said, even with that, Allah removes sins from their body and purifies them and get them closer to Allah. Because, see, every hadith that you hear that Allah removes sins from you, remember another meaning of that. What happened when sins are removed? Your station goes higher. So you get qurba. You get closer to Allah. So every time a hadith says that sins are removed, like when you wash your hands in wudu, the Prophet said, when the water falls from your elbow, the sins of the hands are falling from your elbow. What does that mean? Your hand is getting closer to Allah now. Because it's becoming less sin. The less sin, the closer. Sins are what distance us from Allah.
Jazakumullah khairan. Gosh, so many beautiful things to reflect on. As you were speaking, we have a mutual friend that you know very well. One of the things that I remember when she shared with me really hit me hard and made me more appreciative of so much was when she suffers from many different ailments, but one in particular prevented her from being able to make sajda. And when she spoke about how much she yearned to go back and to make sajda, I realized, like, Ya Allah, how much we take for granted, because it was something that now she's not able to do, and she hasn't been able to do for years, for decades, that she yearns for it. So how many of us can make sajda freely, but we don't yearn for it with the same intensity and desire? May Allah guide us.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that one of the nature of human being in yes. Persian. When I had my first best friend in fourth grade, he told me a poem, a line, and he said you won't know my value. I said, come on, I know your value, and it was so we just became best friends. I didn't even know what best friend was. He taught me what friendship was. My Tawab, and he said Doost qadri doost kaydana ta nayaftad judai. He said a friend would never know the value of a friend until they're separated. And this is the nature. Until things are not taken away from us, we don't know the value of it. That sister didn't know the value of sajda to the degree that she knows now. Exactly. We all know the value of sajda. We love sajda, but how long is our sajda? Where are we at our sajda? Right? Are we connected to Allah in our sajda? Now, once you go through that sickness where you can't make sajda, and then Allah heals you and you make sajda again, your sajda is different.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khairan again. Another thing I just wanted to share was, again, in relation to what you had said about calling on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I recently went through something very similar to that, in that I had a migraine that I've never experienced before in my life, to that extent of pain and anguish. And it was so debilitating, as you might have, I hope you've never felt this way before, but for those who may have ever felt a migraine, sometimes you can't move. So you are basically in a situation where you have no mobility. So that's the situation I found myself in one day, where I had a migraine that was, again, that felt like hammers were just on my head, but I couldn't even get up to get a drink of water or a medicine or anything. So I just, exactly as you described, I was wincing in pain. And I literally begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove the pain because it was unbearable. And Allah, you know, He says, "Ana indi dhanni abdi bi," right? We know this. He's in the opinion of His servant. And so, knowing I had no recourse whatsoever, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can remove this pain from me, I begged, and I had, inshallah, you know, we have to have confidence, right, when we make dua, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer us. And I'm just sharing this because I lived it. Allah subhanallah, He is Arhamar Rahimin. He literally removed that pain from me in a way that I can't explain, but I lived that experience. And I know that for those who are in pain, physical or mental, we've had some people asking questions about, you know, mental pain, if they're stressed or they've had, you know, maybe other emotional issues happening to them. Calling on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that type of sincerity, with that type of yaqeen. Yaqeen is so important, right? Because He will answer you. And I am a witness to that, you know, Ismail Azam, as you said, he responded, subhanAllah, and He removed the pain from me within a very short amount of time, subhanAllah. So I'm just sharing that as again, inspiration for those who are watching. We're covering this beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ taught, that where he advised us to take advantage of 5 matters before 5 other matters. Ustadh Feraidoon is, inshallah, for those of you who are again joining us, you've landed in a good opportunity to share, to take from his wisdom. He's shared so much with us. We've covered 2 points of this hadith, which were regarding youth before you become old, and health before one falls sick. Now the third part of the hadith is your wealth before you become poor. Please, Ustadh Feraidoon, share some thoughts on that.
Bismillah. So one of the things that is about wealth is the Quran is so beautifully describes at the beginning of the Quran in Al-Baqarah, when you start reading Alif Lam Mim ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. How do you become mu'minin? Those who believe in the ghaib and anzi. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ. And then they establish prayer. Right after that, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Right? And they spend of what? What Allah has given us. The first thing we have to really come to understanding that the wealth is not ours. It's from Allah. He gives to whomsoever He wants. And this is why hasad and jealousy is not part of our teaching. Like, because you're just disagreeing with God's distribution. Why does so-and-so have so much and I don't have this much? Right. He's a kafir, he's a Christian, he's a Hindu, he's a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, right? And this is, inshallah, I'm doing a course soon, inshallah, online on this matter. Like, how do you get wealth? You worship Allah all day and you're still poor. Like, why don't you get wealth? So we're going to talk about those subject. And then also, for those people that ask this question, there's a thing I'm going to be doing, inshallah, a program called The Power of Pain from Maulana Rumi's perspective. So we're going to talk about physical, spiritual, and mental suffering and pain, inshallah, in detail. And we can, inshallah, continue these conversations in the future as well with this platform. But anyways, the wealth is from Allah. For believers, for mu'min, for Muslim, they have to know every time they spend the money, that is a trust that God has given them. They should. That's why, like, you don't spend your money on haram, right? Because this is a blessing from Allah. So I should spend it in the right way. This is why one of the things that the Prophet said, that Allah doesn't love those people, those who spend the money because they can. I'm so rich, hey, I don't care how much, hey, just, because you can, right? Then you don't really, you're not a ameen, a trustworthy person of that wealth that Allah has given you, because every penny you spend, you have to answer for that. So wealth is from Allah. But the thing with poverty, see, traditionally in the Muslim countries, and this is what our Shaykh always talked about in the classes, in purification of the heart as well, that poverty was a dignified station. In the West, poverty is, is looked down upon. If somebody's poor, they have no class in America. But in a Muslim country, you could be the poorest man in your community, yet because you went to prayer 5 times a day, the masjid, everybody come kisses your hand. The rich come kiss your hand, right? There was a dignity with poverty. We didn't give a status based on money, right? It wasn't based on form. We were based on meaning that people carried inside of them. And we have become a tradition of form now, in the West especially, right? Nobody cares about the meaning. It's all about form. How much money you have, how many followers you have, this is how we go forward. But anyways, wealth, there's no problem to be rich in Islam. Uthman ibn Affan. See, he bought paradise 3 times. Because the Prophet said, who's going to buy paradise during the fundraiser if you arm this many people before the battle one time? And Uthman ibn Affan raised his hand. The next time, the 3rd time, the Prophet said, you have already bought it twice. It's the 3rd time. Because why? If he didn't have the money, he couldn't do it. If he didn't have the money, he couldn't do it, right? So he had the money and he spent it for the causes of Islam. Now, that doesn't mean you don't wear good clothes, you're rich, you don't have a nice house. You have all that. The blessings that Allah has given you should be manifested on you. You shouldn't wear patch clothing if you're a millionaire. That's not Islam. Right. You show the blessing, but you don't go and get a $700,000 car because you have the money. This is just ridiculous. Like, you see these things in some of the countries, in the Muslim countries, right? There are cars that are made only for the Muslim countries, because even the Westerners, billionaires, they're like, this is stupid. I'm not going to spend that much money on a car, right? Because I can spend, because I can do it. That's the big problem. And poverty, look, what comes, what goes. One of the things that my mom taught me when we were young, a beautiful Persian proverb, and they, when you go to the hammam and they do the kisa, and they take all of the najasa from your hands and your body out. I mean, here they don't have kisa and they don't have the, in America. But if you go to Turkey, you go back home, Afghanistan, India, all these places, they have hammam. Like, you go and they have this harsh cloth that they put, and then they, like, things come out from your body. Like, you're like, whoa. Like, and when a true story, when I went to Afghanistan and the guy said, sure, I'm going to do kisa. I said, listen, I come from America. We shower every day. We're pretty clean. And he said, okay. And then he started to say, I was so embarrassed. I was so anyways. But the Persian, the Afghani, they say that it is the dirt of your body. It's like those things, you just clean yourself from it. And this is why zakat is very important, because zakat, you have to give your zakat. A lot of people, they don't know that if you don't pay your zakat, which is 2.5% of your excessive wealth, even your cash that you have in your safe deposit in your bank that you don't use for a year, that's zakatable. You have to pay. If you have, let's say you have $50,000 cash in your account that you haven't touched for a year, end of the year, you have to pay 2.5% of that in zakat. If you don't pay the zakat, the 2.5%, the entire 100% becomes contaminated with haram. All of it. And that's why there's no barakah. Some people say in their money, there's no barakah in their home, there's no barakah in their life, with their children, with their spouses. So because those things, we have to be very careful about giving the rights of wealth as well. So, if you have it, the best story that I've ever heard on this was Abu Hanifa's story. And for all the Hanafis, I know you're still Hanafi, right, Hosayjan?
Yes, I am.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Maliki,
Yeah, no. Yeah. I try to keep all of you guys in the Hanafi madhab, because we're gonna have a whole Maliki Afghani revolution in the 90s. But alhamdulillah, they're all good. We're just having sometimes we have madhab fighting, but it's out of love. But anyways, Imam Abu Hanifa was an amazing scholar. He was a merchant as well. And he was sitting teaching a class one day, and a man came and whispered in his ear something. And then he put his hand on his heart and he said, Alhamdulillah. Then 2 hours later, the same man came and he whispered something in his ear. He put his hand on his heart, Alhamdulillah. The student, they said, what was that? He said, he came to me and he said, because he was a merchant, silk merchant. He used to bring silk from Persia and sell it in Iraq. And it was like, these ships that would come. He said, the ship that had all your material, your entire stock, sank and you lost all your wealth. He said, I put my hand on my heart to see if there's a change in my heart. And I saw that there was no change. And I said, Alhamdulillah. In other words, he was rich and then he became poor because he lost everything, entire ship of his. And that's what they had. These people, they didn't have like saving accounts and all that. Everything was like, okay, buy a ship, come and then sell it. Buy a ship, come and sell it. And that's how they used to make money. And then he said, 2 hours later, he came and he whispered to me, he said, sorry, that was the wrong ship. It was somebody else's. Your stuff is all intact. And he said, I just realized that I became rich again. And I put my hand in my heart, see if there's a change in the state of my heart. And there was no change. And I said, Alhamdulillah. So for us, the wealth should be in the hand, not in the heart. If it's in the hand, it's perfect because it's there to distribute, to make use of it. The heart is a place you don't want anything except Allah.
Absolutely beautiful. Jazakumullah khair. I never heard that story. It's so beautiful, so profound. Subhanallah. Thank you again. For those who have joined us, I'm just going to reiterate, we're with Ustadh Feraidoon. We're talking about this beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, who advised us to take advantage of 5 matters before 5 other matters. We've covered youth before you become old, health before we fall sick, wealth before we become poor. The 4th portion of this hadith is very much related to the theme of today's program, your free time before you become preoccupied. Please, Ustadh Feraidoon, again, drop more gems on us.
May Allah bless you. Thank you. I think that, what we talked about at the beginning, about the 2 blessings, the hadith of Ibn Abbas, that, and this is in Sahih al-Bukhari, so it's a sound hadith, that there are 2 blessings that people actually, most people take for granted. And one of them is free time. One of the greatest lies that have been told to human being is the concept of that when people say, oh, I don't have time. Because the only thing you have is time. The only thing you have is time. So it's time management that is destroying most people. Now, I remember a story in a book called The 3 Women of Herat. There's a book written, I think she was there in the 70s. The person was there in the 70s in Afghanistan and wrote a book about, especially about the Herat. And I when I was in college, when you have nothing to do, you read all this stuff. So anyways, in the book it said, and it's because I come from Herat and I know how true this statement is. He said, when I was in Herat and I was spending, one of the things I have noticed was the man would wear really nice watches. I saw Rado, I saw Movado, I saw Rolex, I saw Omega, and it's so true. Every member of my family in Afghanistan, they have an amazing watch. They wear an amazing watch. It's like the men, if they don't have, it's like here, every woman, they have to have a Louis Vuitton purse. Right. Like even if you don't have money, you have to borrow from your credit card. You want to buy that purse just to carry it. It's part of like the culture here, right? So the watches was part of this of the culture. So she says, but I've noticed that in this city the concept of time doesn't exist. I don't know why they're wearing watches. Which I thought it was so true. He said, because I saw these people, I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to so-and-so's house. And as we were, I said, okay. And then I would see him stand by the tree, talk to another guy for 2 hours. And I thought, you were so, yeah, I saw my friend, we were just hanging out. He said, there's no appointments, there's nothing, but why do they carry these beautiful watches, right? So we have these watches, but we don't know how to do time management. And time is the essence. See, as you, and this is the Greeks have been talking about this, the Persian, the Chinese, everybody talking about it. Every breath that you take, you're 1 breath less. and your treasure chest. Because chest has double meaning, right? It's a one of double entendre. You say chest, which is the chest, but chest also means a chest, right? Like where you put your jewelry and stuff in there, like a box. So your chest is a treasure box as well that carries your breath. Each and every one of us has limited amount of breath. So some people have 1,000 breath that they die at infancy, right? Some people have 1,000,000. I don't know how many we have, but every time we inhale and exhale, it's one less, one less, one less. And we don't know which one is the last one. So when the last one comes, that you inhale and you don't have anything to exhale, you're done. When the last one comes that you exhale, you don't have anything to inhale, you're done. You're run out. It's like your bank account goes to zero. You can't withdraw money once it goes to zero. So know that every breath is just getting shorter and shorter and smaller and smaller. So use your time wisely. Use your time wisely. People, the thing that Imam Ghazali mentions this in Ihya about the 3 boxes. For me, it was like, people say game changer. This was game changer for me. Like this is game changer. On the day of judgment, you open a box. There's 3 boxes in front of you. So open it up. You open the first box and a good smell comes out. Amazing smell. It's a scent. Oh my God. And the Prophet said, if this smell goes to hellfire, the people of fire, they will forget about the torment of fire. That's how beautiful the smell is. And you say, what is this, ya Allah? I've never smelled something like this. These are your good actions. This is the scent of the box of your good action. Look at it. It's like, whoa, amazing, amazing. So open the second box. He opens the second box. This smell is so horrible. It's so horrible that he's losing his sight. He goes, ya Allah, what is this? And the Prophet said, if this smell goes to paradise, the people of paradise will forget about the blessings of paradise because of this bad smell. So what is this? This is your evil action. And then she opened the third box. He opens the third box and there's nothing. Say, Allah, what is this? He said, this is the box of those precious time that we gave you and you wasted doing nothing. You wasted doing nothing. And the man starts to weep. And he says, Ya Allah, give me a chance so I can go back and I can fill this with good actions. Because that is the tipping point. That box is the tipping point. It can take your scale and make it heavy on the other side and you can go to paradise. And that's the box that people regret the most on the day of judgment. I left all that box empty all this time. They didn't do anything. Just wasted time. We were not created to play video games 24/7. We were not created to just sit and chat and do nothing. Like, do something. Do something. One of the poems that comes to my mind, it says, Man nemiguyam ziyan kon ya be fikri sood bash. I'm not going to give you advice because some of the poets, what I think about them, they're so beautiful. They didn't want to be like a preacher. Hey, do this, do that. Rumi never does it. You don't find anywhere Rumi says, do this, do that. No. He just elevates you that you are going to do amazing things. He said, I'm not going to tell you, hey, go into business and make money. Oh, don't go into business, lose money. I'm not going to tell you to make profit or loss. I'm not telling you anything. Aiza forsad bi khabar. Dar harchi hasti zud bosh. Oh, you who are unaware of the concept of time. Whatever you're doing, make it fast because your time is limited. Don't waste your life. Don't waste this precious life that Allah has given you. This beautiful time that Allah has given you. Because it's going to come to an end. And it comes very abruptly. It's not going to send you a message. It's not going to send you an SMS. It's not going to text you. Death will come suddenly. And then it's too late. So use your time wisely. And when are you going to start using your time wisely? Tomorrow. Abdullah Ansari said, the problem is that tomorrow would never come. Because there's always a tomorrow. 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 No. Today. Today. If you're going to get one thing from this talk today, take this home, everyone. This is something that benefited me greatly. It's Khawaja Abdullah Ansari. He died in year 481, one of the great Gnostics of Islam, one of the most amazing human beings that ever walked on this planet. He said, Kar imruz ra ba farda maguzar. He said, please, my son, my daughters, don't put today's work for tomorrow. Don't put today's work for tomorrow. Because tomorrow has a tomorrow. And then tomorrow has a tomorrow. And it can go on forever. And that's the trick of shaitan. Live your life as though you're going to die tomorrow for the deen. Live your life as you're going to live for 1,000 years for the dunya. And this is a prophetic teaching. In other words, the work of deen, don't say, oh, you know what, I'll start making up my prayer tomorrow. No, I'm going to start making up my prayer today. But this thing of the dunya, I can wait till tomorrow. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Who cares? But the akhirah work, I'm not going to let it end. Don't go to sleep if you're missing a prayer today. Don't go to sleep. Make sure you have today, all your 5 prayers are done before you go to sleep. And that's an oath you have to make. You know, that's an oath. People have missed prayers in the past. And they're saying, oh my God, I don't have time. How am I going to be? It's all time. I can't make it up. First of all, put the past right now in the back burner. Start doing your 5 daily prayers now.
Right, subhanAllah.
Start doing that now. Because then you're going to be just overwhelmed. And then start making up 1 prayer a day. Just 1 prayer. Instead of every day do 1 prayer. And okay, it takes you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It doesn't matter. Once you start it, even if you don't finish it before you die, Allah will have an angel finish it for you.
MashaAllah.
Because you started on the path and you were doing it every day. Just a little bit, but every day. Constantly. Use time wisely. Time is the greatest gift from Allah. And it's limited. That's the thing. Just like Ramadan is coming. Ayyaman ma'dudat. Limited time. Right? Like you do a program that says, hey, limited seat. Once it's sold out, you can't go in there. Right? Life is like that too. Limited time. This time, yesterday is done. Everything you did yesterday is done, written, goodbye. You can't do anything about it. But today's not. Now is not. After this, what are we going to do? It's Dhuhr time for us. Right? We got to do our Dhuhr. Right? Because it's Jummah, you have to wait till the Jummahs are done. That's for the Hanafis. For your city, you have to wait till all the Jummah prayers are done, and then you pray your Dhuhr on the Yawm al-Jummah. You don't pray at the beginning of time. It's actually preferred to pray at the beginning of time for every prayer, except for the day of Jummah, for, if you're praying Dhuhr, out of respect of Jummah. Even though we don't have Jummah prayer, but out of respect, we wait for the prayer to be done.
SubhanAllah, Ustadh Feraidoon. MashaAllah, again, so many beautiful gems. And the last portion of this hadith ties very much to everything you just talked about, which is your life before your death. And as you were speaking, another very important point came to mind that Sheikh Hamza mentions in the translation of the famous poet Madarat al-Qulub by Imam al-Mawlud, where he talks about many of the diseases of the heart. For those, again, who are not familiar with this text, I'm going to go ahead and put it up for you because you should absolutely have this book in your home library. Every single Muslim home should have this text. It's invaluable in terms of what it offers, and many of the beautiful points that Ustadh Feraidoon is sharing are reflected in this. But one particular disease of the heart that he talks about is tatwil al-amal, right? This idea, false hope, this idea that we will live forever. And this concept that, again, our society around us, the delusion of the world around us reinforces over and over again that we have ample time, we have ample opportunity. And so this last point of this hadith, to take advantage of your life before your death. Again, you've spoken about this, but just kind of bring this beautiful conversation to a close so that we can open it up for questions. Please, if you have any further insights on the value of, again, really seizing your life and giving importance to yourself about the purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you with before your time.
One of the things about our Prophet ﷺ, and if you look at the great teachers, right, and there's no greater teacher than the Prophet ﷺ in the history of humanity, right? If you look at all the great teachers, whether they were the Greeks, Socrates, pre-Islam, post-Islam, all of them, the way they taught was they made very sophisticated subjects, things that were really, brought it down and made it simple for people. They didn't dumb it down. This whole idea of dumbing things down is not part of our culture, because we want to raise people up, but we want to make concepts easy to understand for the mind, and we want to elevate people through that teaching. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I'm going to do this because you said this thing. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam drew a line in the sand, right? So he drew a line in the sand like this, right? And then he said, he drew a line on the top, right? And he said, this is your amal, right? This is where all your goals, where you want to go. I want to do this. I want to do this in life. I want to do this in life. So you have, this is your life, right? And then he drew a line here and he said, this is your ajal. This is your death. It comes before that. So all, and that for me is kind of like, how much are we going to have these ambitions and goals of life? We have to be ambitious. There's in terms of ambitious, I don't like the word ambition. It's because it does have a negative, positive. It's a mixture.
Right.
We have to have goals in life. We have to want to do great things in life. Nobody's saying, oh, don't do anything. But Rumi said something very interesting. He said, when you make your goals, reflect on the size of the goal. He said, a hay cannot pick up a mountain. In other words, be realistic.
Right.
Because realistic goals, you want to be above. Yeah, you want to be above so you can push yourself. But you don't want to have a goal where you're depressed all your life because it's impossible for you to achieve. Right? So be realistic, but not have the highest level of realist, your ideal, right? Have the highest level so you push yourself. But it's some people, they say stuff where it's like, you need 7 lifetimes to do that in a team of 100 people to do this, and you don't have anybody. When are you going to start? And they don't start, and then 15 years, 20 years later, you meet the same person that is still the same exact spot. It's that, you got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. So life, look, we have there are many reasons why suicide is haram in Islam, many reasons. But we look at 2 things. One is wujud, just the mere fact that you exist. Why do we exist? Just think about it. For 1 second, I want everyone to think about this. Why do you exist? You exist because God says kun. He said be, and you came to existence. That is enough to be in a state of ecstasy for eternity. God said be, and I am. Isn't that enough to be just joyful and happy for eternity? God said kun, be. I was part of that? Yes. You are part of that. That you exist. This existence is the greatest gift of God. Second, what are you carrying in this body, in this cage? The Spirit of God. Ruh is the Spirit of God. Allah put the ruh in Adam alayhi salam. You can't take the ruh out. The ruh has to leave when God wants it to leave. You have to leave it to God. Yes, there's trials, there's tribulation in life. Yes, there's triumph in life. Yes, there's failures in life. But what Nelson Mandela said, I never lose. I win or I learn. That's our life. I never lose. Don't look at failure as losing. Michael Jordan took that as a motto, right? He said, I want to be like Nelson Mandela. I want to win or learn. And he became the greatest basketball player, but that's what he did. Like there's a story about him. They said he played ping pong with one of the NBA players at a hotel before a game.
I'm so sorry, Ustadh Feraidoon. Before you continue, forgive me because the live is going to cut off in just about a minute. But I want everybody to know we will resume. So it's because it's a.
So we can cut it out. I think this.
No, what we'll do is we'll save this live, but we'll come back. So I'll just rejoin the live, and I invite you to come back because we do have some beautiful questions in the chat, and I want people to have an opportunity. We want to listen to more of you also. So, inshallah, please just bear with us if it cuts off. But please, if you want to continue the rest of your story until it cuts off, bismillah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, he was playing ping pong and he lost. And then, so he said he ordered a ping pong table in his room immediately. The guy went and bought it. And for the next 2 days, he played ping pong and he mastered it. The guy came and he beat him. He didn't take failure. He said, we fail, we learn, and we become better. That's the whole purpose of life. It doesn't mean, oh, I failed, I'm going to kill myself.
Right.
That's not an answer to doom yourself in the dunya and in the akhirah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for rejoining. Forgive us again for this minor hiccup. Inshallah, we will continue again as soon as Ustadh Feraidoon joins us. I will invite him back. Inshallah, please stick around. We will hopefully try to get to your questions. If I know there was someone who submitted a question in the previous live. Unfortunately, I was not able to even see the question. So I invite you, if you're here, to please resubmit your question. Again, for those who are not familiar, there is a question box at the bottom next to the comment section. You'll see a little question mark. That is where you can submit your questions. It's very hard to follow questions in the thread because it moves so quickly. And so we don't want to miss your questions, certainly, but we do want to have, inshallah, enough time to take them. So let me see where our teacher is, if he is here yet. I have not seen him join. Let me see. Oh, there he goes. Bismillah. Okay. Alhamdulillah, you are back. Thank you. Okay, we are going to connect to you again. Again, thank you everybody for being here. Remember to please submit questions in the bottom box. Jazakumullah khair. And please, Bismillah. So you were saying, I'm sorry, please, if you want to sort of.
Yeah, no, that was the thing. So basically, my advice to myself and everyone is to not give up, because giving up means you don't have trust in Allah, you don't have hope in Allah. Because if you're connected to Allah, and see, the greatest gift of spirituality is that they emphasize really on the concept of hope, right? So you never feel hopeless, because the moment you feel hopelessness, Rumi said, hopelessness is like a boat that will end up in a shore. Like you will go, that shore that you're going to end up is kufr. It takes you to kufr. Because if you're hopeless, that means you don't believe in God. Like if you believe in God, you gotta have hope, right? And that's foundational to Islamic teaching. You know, Imam Ghazali said that we are like the birds who fly with two wings of hope and fear. Right. Hope and fear. Yeah, you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that fear is different. This is one thing that my teacher, Dr. Barakatullah, he taught me many years ago, that really had paradigm shift in my head about fear. Because people fear God, they don't know what that fear meant. We have two types of fear. One fear is when you fear an animal. You see a lion, what are you going to do? You run for your life, right? You see a snake, you run away from it. That's a fear that you run away. Another fear is you get closer to. This fear of Allah is a fear that you get closer, because your fear is building taqwa, consciousness. Your fear is building trust and tawakkul. So you're getting closer to Allah through this fear. You don't get away. You don't distance yourself from God. You actually get closer to Allah through fearing Allah. But fearing anything else, you distance yourself from it. Yeah. Beautiful.
Now, everything that you've spoken about today, again, so many invaluable statements that you've shared and insights. But a lot of the things that I've seen, and even some of the questions that have been reflected, have to do with, the thoughts that people have that they can't control, anxiety, waswasa. Can you maybe speak a little bit about how to differentiate between the whispers of shaitan, where he's really trying to break you down, and just, how to take control of that?
Yeah.
So people are struggling in that.
It's a high level. So basically, one of the things that people have to understand is that we have a system in Islam. And you have to go with, if you want to get the most benefit, you have to go with the system. Right. For example, if people want to go and build muscles, right? They go to the gym. you can't just go and pick up one thing and just keep doing that. Say, hey, why am I not? Well, my arms are getting strong, but I am not strong. But you go to a person, a physical trainer, and he will say, no, you have to do this machine first, this second, and then the next day you give rest to your body, and then you work the other. So there's a system, and then you will see the result. And it takes time, right? It's not overnight. 6 months later, you're like, whoa, now I can feel more strength, and I'm, losing weight, and I'm doing all this stuff. There's a system to it. But some people say, no, I just want to get strong, but I don't want to go through the system. It doesn't work that way that easily. You might get the muscle on your arm, but the rest of your body is going to be weak. What are you going to do with that kind of weight training?
Right.
So the taqwa, all of the waswasa is because, see, you have to build a shield, control around yourself, physically, mentally, and spiritually. It starts with physical, right? You can't see the man who was complaining in the hadith said, وَمَلْبَسَهُ haram, his clothing is haram and his food is haram and everything is haram. Is that you can't complain when everything is haram to say why my life is a mess. Well, I'm sorry, everything you're doing is haram. Everything you're doing, you're gonna have a messed up life, right? Spiritually, so you might be really good on social media, but you're burning inside because you have to be real, because one of the name of God is He's real, right? God, be real. You can't be fake with God, right? You can't play God. God will not be played. So you have to have taqwa, this consciousness of the body. Like, in other words, you have to be pure, keep yourself in wudu. One of the things that people have waswasa, most people are not in wudu. You have to be in wudu all the time. You go to the bathroom, you come out in wudu. Yes. You make a habit of that. We made that habit like when we were at the SFSU, San Francisco State University. Remember, like we did the prayer in there, like 3 prayers we used to do at MSA, and we were always in wudu. In the classes, we went to the bathroom, we came out wudu because we know in 2 hours we have to do Asr and Jama'ah, so we're going to be in wudu. So this concept of not being in wudu is very alien for the Muslims. They were always in wudu. They went to the bathroom, they came out in wudu. If you're in wudu, that's the layer 1 protection against shaitan and waswasa. Because you're pure. Shaitan loves those things that are impure, right? Number 2 is then you have taqwa of the limbs. Not just physical, but you're not going to hit somebody with your hands. You're not going to speak foul language with your tongue. You're not going to look at the haram. You're not going to listen to the haram. So those things, you have the second level. But anyways, these things will help you get protection. But all of your thoughts come from 4 sources. And if you get this, you know where everything comes from. What we call khawatir. And this is rahimahullah, Imam Ghazali's contribution, and many other of our scholars. He said the first one is khawatir rahmani. It is thoughts that come from ar-Rahman, from Allah. These are generally their commandment to do good. When you have those thoughts that are like kind of like telling you, get up and pray. Give your zakat. It's Ramadan. You're supposed to pay it. Like, why? What are you waiting for? Like, that is like, you can feel that is the thought that is inspired by Ar-Rahman, right? He said the second one is Khawatir Malakani. It's thoughts from angels. And they're good, but they're not commanding. They're more of just telling you to do it. Like, gentle reminders, right? Hey, Ramadan is here. It's really nice to give your zakat. During the summer, you gave it last time. Remember, you felt really good, right? Come on, it's time to pray. If you wait, then it's going to be necessity time, and then you might lose it. Why do you want to lose your prayer? Come on, man. It's just encouragement to do good, right? And then the third one is khawatir shaitani. Is thoughts from shaitan. And this is always tricky. Shaitan, always tricky. He was always, come on, zakat. Like, God needs your 2.5%. Really? Really, you think God is in need of your money? Who pays zakat nowadays? Really? Who does your sister pay? Does your uncle pay? Nobody pays zakat. Come on, don't worry. There's bigger thing you need to worry about. Trust me. You need to worry about your prayer. See, now he wants you to pray just for you not to pay your zakat. That's how smart he is, right? So he's whatever he can do. Then once you leave that, zakat time is over, then he comes and he gets you out of the prayer too. So he would do that. He would be tricky to do things like that, right? Always shaitans is tricky, right?
Right.
Then the last one is khawatir nafsani, most dangerous one, is the thought of the nafs, your own self, your desire, what you fed yourself. Because some of us, we turn ourselves into this predator inside that we are unaware of. So Ghazali is saying that the khawatir nafsani, one of the things that it has in common all the time, it has laziness in it. Man, where am I going to send my zakat money? It's quarantine now. Most of the institution, even if I give it to them, they're not going to distribute it. I can't send it back home. There's nobody. There's no, oh my God, yeah, but I'll do it later. I'll do it in Shawwal, 6 days of Shawwal. I fast and I'll do it. It's just lazy. I can pray Isha later. Even if I prayed later, it's more blessing. Then I can do the tahajjud too. You just procrastinate and laziness. So thoughts come from these sources. So once you start knowing it, you know which one is from where. And then so you abandon the two that's from shaitan and from your nafs, and you take on the one that's from Allah and from the angels. And that's how you start going forward with your life.
SubhanAllah, amazing. Jazakumullah khairan. I have questions now. I would like to just again use the time that we have with you to make sure that people who are attending are also they've submitted questions and then we get to them. So let me quickly just see if are these being displayed, by the way, because here's one. Here's the first question. How do we deal with getting over laziness, which is what you were just speaking about, while having more time on our hands? So again, you address this, but if you have anything more to advise, inshallah, regarding
one of the things about time is this. Let me give you one good example of time. The barakah of the day is in the early hour of dawn. The barakah of the day is in the early hour. And this is why if you look at the West and the East, the successful people in the religion, the successful awliya, what time they get up? Tahajjud. They get up early pre-dawn. Then they pray Fajr. Do they sleep after Fajr? No. Right? What time does Bill Gates go to work? Just Google it. What time he goes to work? 5 a.m. Right? What about Zuckerberg? What time does he go to work? Just Google it. Steve Jobs, what time did he went to work? They were all at work by 5 a.m., 4 a.m. They were all, because the early hour, Allah has put blessings in that hour, in the morning time. Most people, they sleep through the morning time. They get up, they get up, inshallah, for Fajr, and then they go to sleep. And it's a bad habit. Most of us have it. We're all guilty of it. But to make a habit, especially during the time of the year where Fajr is later, it's 6 a.m., 6:30, then you don't sleep afterwards, you can get a lot more done in those hours. And then to sleep earlier is better to sleep. And I'm muqassir myself on that, so I'm trying. I have changed a lot. With age, you can stay up late at night anyways, so you go to sleep earlier and you get up earlier. So it's really good to go to sleep early. The famous proverb, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man happy, healthy, and wise, right? So,
alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khairan. Excellent. So we have more questions, mashallah, coming in. Here's a good one that I think people might need a little bit more insight on. How do you know how to differentiate the shaitanic thoughts from nafsi thoughts?
Yeah, so as we just mentioned, shaitan thoughts are always tricky. But remember, shaitan doesn't know you. Where does he get his information from? From your nafs. Rumi said nafs is the WikiLeaks. And that's my translation. He said nafs is the WikiLeaks to shaitan.
The WikiLeaks.
Yeah, so it leaks your secret to shaitan. Hey, listen, this man is in love with gambling.
Wow.
So shaitan would just entice you. He said, okay, I got him. This man loves, wine. I mentioned this example at the Rahla with the students that, I had a bad experience when I was young with alcohol. I saw somebody drunk and they passed out and they started vomiting. And it was really disgusting to see that, this person. And I hated alcohol. It was just something I couldn't stand it. Up to today, there's nothing in the world I hate more than alcohol. It not only it's not appealing to me, I actually hate it. Even when I go shopping, I I can't even go in the aisle. Literally, my heart starts pounding going in the aisle. So I just go back and I go from the other aisles to go get stuff. So he has never, ever enticed me with alcohol. Never. Like, never had a thing in my head that, hey, it might be good, try it. No, never. But there are things that I'm weak, and he always comes with those ideas in my head, right? So the nafs is the one who leaks. So you have to get your nafs under control. So how do you get your nafs under control? We go back to Hujjat al-Islam al-Ghazali. He said there's two ways you get your nafs under control. He said the nafs feeds, the food of the nafs is desires. You go to the mall, you say, whoa, what a beautiful purse, I'm going to get that. I'm crazy for it. I'm dying for it.
Right.
You get that, you just gave your nafs what it wanted. I want this food, I'm craving. We are craving different type of food every 2 hours, and then we give that. So the nafs is getting what it wants. You need food. You don't need a specific type of food to eat, right? You need a purse. You don't need a specific type of purse. Get a nice purse, but not the one that, oh, my nafs is crazy for it. The car that my nafs is crazy for it, right? You know, my last car, when I was shopping, I went to the dealer and I said, I'm going to come at 9 p.m. They said, we're closing. I said, listen, I can't come before that. Can you stay? And he said, yeah, can you come at least 8:30? And Maghrib was about 8 o'clock. So I said, sure. So I went to the dealer around 8:30. It's like pitch dark. And he said, listen, I said, I don't want to see the car, the color. He said, why? Because I said, you don't know my desire for colors of the car. I don't want my nafs to make me weak. I want a very family-oriented color that you know, my friend told you. Just give me that. Don't show me option, because I'm going to change my mind. So literally, I went to the office. I signed all the paper. Then I went and sat in the car that I actually bought. But because I know my nafs, I know I have weakness to colors of the cars. I don't want to give it into every day. I come out and I see that, and I'm like, whoa, look at this car, look at the color, and I'm feeding my nafs. I'm feeding my nafs. So you don't get those things that the nafs want, but you get it. You get a nice car. There's nothing wrong. I got the car that I wanted. I didn't get the color that I wanted. I didn't get all of those options that my nafs wanted. I didn't need it.
So you're not
I needed a car. I wanted those stuff. I needed a car. But I wanted the sunroof. I wanted the navigation system. I didn't need. I have an iPhone. I don't need a navigation system, right? It looks nice, but I got what I needed. So you don't give it what it wants. You give what it needs. The second way, he said, nafs is like a donkey that you have to put a lot of weight on it until it collapses. And the weight is extra acts of worship. So you do after the prayer, you said, don't just leave the prayer rugs. One of the worst habit of the young generation, they pray, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Either they pick up their phone or they leave. Just 1 minute, 60 seconds. That's all I'm asking. 60. These are all game changer. For me, it was game changer. 1 minute, just sit there. Even if you're not doing anything, just sit on the prayer rug. Don't do anything. It will come to you. It will come to you. It will make you do things. Trust me, if you're sitting on that prayer rug, you're not touching your phone, you're not doing anything, a dhikr will come, a dua will come. You will remember someone, then they need a dua. They will come to your mind. You'll be amazed people will come to your mind. You haven't thought about them in 10 years. Right? And then you make dua for them. Just spend a minute after each prayer on the prayer rug. And then these are spiritual practices, right? Do a couple of units of nafil prayer a day. Just 2 units a day. That's like putting a lot of weight on your donkey, right? Have a jar in your house and put a quarter a day, 50 cents a day. If you can do to $1 a day. If you're well off, do $2 a day. If you have children, give all of your children a quarter, say put in the donation box. So they can give donation regularly. They know how to give donation. These are all like weight on that donkey, because you're giving donation. Instead of giving $30 at the end of the month to your masjid, make a jar and put $1 every day in the jar. It is more weight on the donkey than the $30 at the end of the month. Yeah.
Amazing. Jazakumullah khairan. You mentioned Imam al-Ghazali, and I wanted to just quickly share because it's relevant to everything you've been sharing. He has the text, Alchemy of the Happiness, and there are these chapter books that talk about many of the things that you're sharing, right? On how to, treatment of the lust of the stomach and the sexual organs, on the treatment of pride and conceit, treatment of love, of power and control, of the harms of the tongue. But we can look to these amazing scholars for guidance on all of these things. So for those who are interested, I'm not sure if you yourself, Ustadh Feraidoon, have them at Ruby Bookstore, but I think they're very beneficial for people to read through these texts during the month of Ramadan or even before in preparation for the month. So I just wanted to quickly mention those, and as you were speaking about Imam al-Ghazali. We do have a few more questions. Again, I'm going to post them, inshallah, so that you can address them. Let me just pull them up. Here is one. Bismillah. I want something. Forgive me, I'm just going to... How's this one? Okay. Reconnecting with Allah. For those who may have lost their connection, what are some practical ways to do that, especially as we usher in this beautiful month, inshallah?
You know, one of the things that Sheikh Hamza said is I think that this is really something that all of us, we need to really think about this. Nobody's disconnected from Allah. That is the greatest lie that has ever been told. Because if you're disconnected from Allah, you'll annihilate it. You don't exist. Wujud means connection to Allah. You're just unaware of it. That's all it is. Allah resides in the heart of every human being. Right? Allah resides in the heart of every human being. You know, Rumi said, "Gof payghambar ke haq farmude ast, man nami gunjam dar bala u past." Rumi said, the Prophet said that Allah says, it's a hadith qudsi, that I'm not contained by the skies or by the earth. Dar zamin o asaman o arsh neez man nagunjam in yaqeen don ay aziz. The arsh cannot contain me. The earth cannot contain me. The heavens cannot contain me. None of them can. And know this with certainty, oh my friend, right? Dar dil mu'min bagunjam ay ajab. How wondrous is this? I'm contained in the heart of the believer. Gar mara juyi dar in dil ha talab. And if you want to seek me in the heart of the believers. Go and seek Allah in your own heart. You don't need to go anywhere to be connected to Allah. Connect yourself to your own heart, and you will see the light of God. He is there. Rumi said, I traveled to the valleys, couldn't find him in search of God. Then I went to the top of the mountains, couldn't find him on top of the mountains. Then I went to the depth of, he wasn't there. Then I went to the Kaaba. I couldn't find him at the Kaaba either. Then I went to Jerusalem. He wasn't there either. Then I went to the church. He wasn't there. I went to the synagogue. He wasn't there. I went to the temples. He wasn't there. I went to the desert. He wasn't there. I went to the skies. Everywhere I went, I couldn't find him. So I came back home. There he was all alone.
SubhanAllah.
Right
Beautiful.
there.
Absolutely beautiful. Ya Allah. MashaAllah. Jazakumullah khairan.
He's there, but we just need to reconnect ourselves with our hearts. And our hearts are dying because we're disconnected from it. And once you connect with your heart, the power of that is beyond words can explain. There's no word to explain when you're connected with your heart, because you're connected with the light of Allah. And God would never abandon his servant. And he said, you know, Allah treats his servants as though he has only one servant. Allah treats his servants as though he has special attention to each and every one of us. But we treat God as though there's millions of gods there.
SubhanAllah.
You know?
SubhanAllah.
Allah's mercy is beyond the foams of the ocean. He is there. All you have to do is take a journey inside. Take a few minutes a day and reflect on yourself. Look inside yourself and you will find him. Trust me. You will find him. You can't run away from God. You will only run into him.
MashaAllah. Beautiful. Jazakumullah khairan. We have another question here. What do we do if we have too much anxiety every time we try to do good work? So this is, I think, from a psychological perspective, this would be scrupulosity, maybe OCD, or feelings of, just not having control. Yeah.
The thing is about anxiety, there's one anxiety that's good. The other anxieties are not good. The anxiety that is good, that the Prophet ﷺ said, make all your anxiety one anxiety. The anxiety of meeting Allah. Think about that. That's fine. You say, I'm going to meet Allah, because then you put your life in perspective. And when we talked about the 5 points, everything will be in perspective. I'm going to meet Allah. How am I doing with my time? I'm going to meet Allah. What am I doing with my youth? I'm going to meet Allah. What am I doing with my wealth? So all of those will come in place if the anxiety is the anxiety of meeting your Lord on a day of judgment. And you have to have the fear, right? That fear that gets you close to Allah, but with hope, right? Hope and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to have trust in God that He is more merciful than your mother, 70 times more merciful than your mother to you. So you look at it that way. So do whatever you can. The religion does not need us. You have to come to that conclusion. Don't feel like, oh, the deen needs me. I have to do things because the deen is in dire need of me. So what if we all die right now? Would the deen die? No. The deen is going to continue. The religion didn't need Imam Ghazali. The religion doesn't need anybody. Nobody. We need the religion. The service that we are doing is not a favor to God. It's a favor to ourselves. If we get to fix shoes at the masjid, what an honor that Allah has given us, right? We're not honoring God by fixing shoes at his house. No, we are being honored by that, right? So do what you can. Do with your limits. Know your limits, and do that you can. The little that you can. Look, there's a story in I believe it's in Al-Tars, that a woman heard that there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that whoever builds, and women did great things in Islam, and I know that you've been working with a lot of contribution of the women to civilization. They built the first universities and actually, inshallah, I'm planning to do a couple of things about some of the women of Afghanistan that really floored me, like Bibi Siti, one of the great saints that nobody knows about. She used to be a brigand with her husband. They were like they used to go and rob caravans, and she used to have sword. And then she makes Tawbah and she became Bibi Siti, like Siti is in Arabic for Sidi, right? And Bibi in Persian, like the like the master. And then she has all these thousands of murids, and it's an amazing woman, husband and wife. But anyways, her grave I visited last time in Afghanistan. Anyways, so there's this woman who heard about this hadith that whoever builds a masjid will get a castle in paradise. Because you know what? God has given me wealth, has given me power to do it. I'm going to build the best masjid in my country. So she started building the masjid. She builds the masjid, finishes it, and then people come say, we want help. So no, I don't want anything. I don't want any money, nothing. I want to build this. She built everything by herself. Anyways, Day of Judgment comes, and I said, Ya Allah, you promised that you're going to give a castle for the people who build a masjid. I built a masjid, and the best one in the nation. Allah says, whatever my prophet said, he is the truthful. Go in paradise and go into your castle. She goes in paradise. She sees on this beautiful castle. It's perfect. She's like amazed. She just goes everywhere, and then she goes to the balcony of her castle, and then she sees another castle that is better and bigger on a higher hill, right? He goes, well, I have a question. He goes, what is your question? He says, nobody built a better masjid than I did. Who built that? What did they build? I want to know. He said, go ask him. Go ask him. So he goes, ask him. He said, how did you get this castle? He goes, oh, you won't believe it, how I got it. Said, how are you? He said, I was traveling through Baghdad, and it was raining, really bad rain. It was night. I was a traveler. I was wanting to sleep somewhere. People used to go and sleep in a masjid. But yeah, it's built. Grand opening hasn't happened. And I saw that the rain gutter was clogged up with leaves from the trees. And I said, man, if the rain gets on this, it's going to damage the roof. So I climbed up and I opened the rain gutter and removed all the leaves so the water flow from the roof. And Allah gave me this for that. And she said, that was my masjid. So it is not the size, like you have to, the person who removed the leaf from the masjid got, because his intention When did he do it? In the middle of the night, raining, nobody's there. Sincerity to Allah, because Allah sees and hears a black ant on a black rock in a pitch black night. Nothing. One of my good friends, Sidi Basil Dayani, he told me one day something. I was really depressed. It was one of the bad days of your life when you're like depressed. And this is a long time ago, over 20 years ago. And he because of something happened, I did something and I really worked hard for like 3-4 months, and somebody just hijacked it and they did it, and they said they did it. And I'm like, I said, I did the whole thing. And I was like, when you're young. And then he came and says, I know you did it. He said, if I know you did it, you did it. You think Allah doesn't know you did it? And he left and he said something to me. He said, Feraidoon, remember this. I swear to God, I remember the time, the place, exact his face as he was walking away from me, from right in front of my store. He said, Feraidoon, nothing is lost but Allah. Nothing is lost but Allah. Everything is recorded. So when you do something with sincerity, when you do something just with that love for Allah, the reward is going to be immense. People will be shocked on the Day of Judgment with the reward that they're going to get for the little things that they do. So anxieties come when we try to do these gigantic projects and we don't do the small things. And the blessings are in the small things.
Absolutely beautiful. Jazakumullah khairan. Few more questions, and again, I appreciate your time, Sidi Feraidoon. Ustadh Feraidoon, we had allotted you for an hour. We're going into an hour and a half, but I know that I myself don't want this to end, and I'm sure everybody else is in agreement. This is just such sound, beautiful advice and gems that you're giving us. So I'm just pulling up a couple more questions here, inshallah. Is it okay to make dua for Allah to remove you from your in-laws' house and give you your own house?
That's a very good question. I actually love that question. The reason why I love it is twofold. One is we have a tradition, and this goes. I want the parents and the grandparents, which they're not on Instagram, so they won't listen to this. But anyways, I wish they would. That we have a tradition, and in this tradition, certain things work really well back home, but it doesn't work really well here because time and place have changed. We haven't grown with our time and place. People, like when we grew up, we all lived in one house, brothers, sisters, everybody lived in one house, right? It was fine. Big houses, servants, everything was perfect.
Right.
It doesn't work anymore. That is a dream to make you're trying to make India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Morocco in America. It doesn't work in this country because we don't have the same lifestyle. We don't have we are not the same time in the same place. It does not work. But for people who want to make that dua, you have to add something to your dua. And this is something that really benefited me a lot. So I just want you to know I'm not a scholar or anything. I'm just sharing with you what I've learned. What benefited me, I want to share it so you can benefit. Because Islam is about sharing, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, teach even if you know one verse. Whatever you learn and it benefited you, say it to people. Don't hoard this and say, no, I learned it, it's only for me, right? When you make dua, you add these words at the end of your dua. Even if you're saying that, you're saying, Ya Allah, give me a house so I can be independent from my in-laws. You say, with khair, lutf, and afiyah. You add those three things. That if it's good for me, right? There's gentleness in this move, right? And there's well-being in it. What if you move into a house and that house has termites or something that you go there, all of you get sick, your children get sick, and you get terminally ill? But you're out from your in-laws, right? You're out from your in-laws.
Right.
But you went to a place that there was no khair, there was no lutf, there was no afiyah. So add those that it's, one of the Yemeni scholars mentioned about a man who went to Hajj, and he heard that the first dua when you see the Kaaba is accepted. So he went, he went to Hajj and he saw the Kaaba, he started crying. He said, Ya Allah, I want to die as a shaheed. As every Muslim, they want to get the rank of the martyrdom. They say when he came back, as soon as he got home, a lion attacked him and ripped him apart and ate him. He became a shaheed in a horrible way. Got it? So you ask with khayr, lutf, and afiyah that you can die in your bed and you get the rank of shahada. Right? Now, so always have that so it doesn't harm you. Right? It's very difficult. I know a lot of my people that I counsel and I talk to, that they have difficulties. And for some people, it might be your key to paradise dealing with your in-laws. Wallahi, like it might be like the key to paradise, like just being patient, and you would see like what will come out of it. But for a lot of people, there's a cap, what we call a cap limit. People are limited. You can take so much. Not everyone has that capacity to go on for years and years of this. And it's not in this country. It is not healthy unless, there are people who have, I know a friend of mine who has like 2 houses that are, like detached, but like they have the back connected to each other. One is them and one is their in-laws. Things like that is easier because the parents are older and he wants to check up on them daily and make sure and share their food. Those are beautiful things. You just have to, people need to do things. In-laws, treat them like your parents, regardless. You have to treat them like your parents.
Alhamdulillah. No, Jazakallah khair. That was beautiful advice because you're really helping people have, again, a broader view of things instead of just that short, limited, instant gratification lens that a lot of people have gotten used to, where they're only thinking of the immediate. But when you make a dua with such a holistic, comprehensive way of doing it, you're thinking of long-term for everything. The consequences of whatever you're asking for everybody impacted. And so it's really beautiful advice. Jazakumullah khairan. We have a couple
last one.
Last one. You don't want to push it to 3.
No. I think people are getting tired, so
I don't know. You should look.
And
at
we are
comments.
getting into the
I'm gonna get in trouble. Let's see here. Is doing some. Okay, mashallah. I'm sorry, skimming through these to find ones so that we're not overlapping with the same questions.
Sure.
So this is also a good, I think, question just to kind of give us perspective about, because the theme is the value of time, prioritization. So here's a question: is doing something beneficial when you have other pending priorities also a waste of time? How do we prioritize? I think is kind of what this question is asking.
And in life, the thing is that all of us, if you want to look at your life, all of us, we can say we have a million things to do. And that's the reality, especially those who are parents. You have this responsibility. People who are at home, the wife or the mother that are cooking and cleaning, and it's just those are certain things doesn't end. Like the house cleaning doesn't end. Every day is washing, is washing dishes, these motions and these activities and these chores, and these are in reality a form of ibadah. Like to feed people, right? Sayyidina Uthman said, one thing I love about this, people love feeding people, giving people water, and these are like part of our tradition. So there's a million things we have to do, all of us. Sometimes what happens, we get overwhelmed, right? And the Greeks, they use this in war, but I use it in my daily life. Divide and conquer. That's my motto. Divide and conquer. So sometimes I get up and say, oh my God, I have like these. They say, you know what? Okay, one thing. I'm going to do this one. Okay, I'm not going to think about anything else. Let me get this done. While I'm done, okay, I'm going to do this. I have to, whatever it is, I have to memorize this. I got to memorize it. I got to get it done. I don't want to think about anything else. I want to read this. I have to read this chapter. I made a promise. I'm going to read this chapter. I'm going to read it. So I don't think about a million other things that I have to do. So I have to put all of that. This is it. You put it, you close it. And the beauty of that is that because it's like taking weight from your shoulder and putting it away. Taking weight from your shoulder and putting it away. And you become lighter and lighter, and things becomes easier because you're going into small chunks. Once you think about, my God, today I have to do this. It's like, we had this. It's, it's stressful to be live online because you can slip, you can say something We are all human beings. We make mistakes. I'm not trained by any shape or way or form into public speaking or taking classes on public speaking or anything like that. So you're afraid you might say something that offend people's, everybody's different. But you can't let things stress you. Once you make a decision that you're going, you make that decision and you go positively towards that. I'm going to do this, even though there's anxiety in it. So let's just prepare for that, right? That's how you go forward with it. And then the second thing is, okay, I got to help my son with his homework, right? Okay, 3:30 to 4 is homework time. Let's do it. During that time when you're doing homework, you don't think about the poem you're trying to memorize or the verse you're trying to memorize. You don't think about, I need to do cleaning. You have to see, if you read the Shama'il of the Prophet ﷺ, one of the things that really floored me about our Prophet ﷺ, everything is amazing. He's the most amazing human being that ever walked on this planet. But one of the things that really amazed me, that he gave 100% of his attention to whoever asked for it. He was never, see this whole thing of multitasking where you're on the phone and you're doing this and you're talking to someone and then you're texting at the same time and cooking at the same time. You're not giving full attention to the person that deserves it. I'm here, while you're doing your thing, I can read my own thing and memorize my poems or my Quran or do something or text my friends. I can do that, right? You can do that. Anybody can do that. But it'd be a disservice to you and myself. The Prophet ﷺ, when somebody called him, he didn't turn his head towards them. And this is in the Shama'il. He turned his whole body towards them. He gave his entire physical, spiritual, mental being towards them. And that's why he was effective. He was real with people. He was there in that moment with that person. When he went to the other person, he gave his 100% attention to the other person, right? It wasn't like, he treated everybody with dignity, with honor. And this is the thing, whatever project you're doing in your life, give your 100% attention to it. Don't be scattered. Don't think about, 4 o'clock, I'm doing something. I'm not even worried about 4 o'clock right now. This is it, right? This is it. I have to pay attention to this right now. If thoughts of 4 o'clock comes, I wouldn't be able to speak to you and say anything because that's another project I'm doing, right? But that's not going to happen until 3:59. Yeah, 4 o'clock is another project. I know what I'm doing. I don't want to think about it. I have to do, before that, I have to do some homework. I'll do the homework, right? Whatever I have to do, I have to wash the dishes, right? So I'll do the wash the dishes. I'm not thinking about washing dishes now. So divide the work in concrete and manage it with time. See, I attended a seminar many years ago, a non-Muslim seminar. It was called LifeSpring. And one thing that they taught in that, which was really what I took home from that, and Anthony Robbins and all these people, this is their motto. This is it. They said that until you don't schedule things, it's not a reality. It's vain. He said, because they were telling me, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to do this, this. And they said, when? I said, yeah, it's soon. They said, no, but when? What date? I don't have a date. They said, until you don't schedule it, it's not a reality. And I had things like that. That's 20 years ago that I still haven't done because I didn't schedule it. But things that I schedule, I said, listen, hey, what Ramadan first, I'm going to do this, right? I have to start doing it, right? I have a schedule. There's an alarm that goes on. Okay, I'm going to get on this. So scheduling things is make things real. And then it pushes you to do things. And then divide into small chunks, conquer, put it aside, next conquer, put it aside. And then you get into the habit of this, you will love it.
MashaAllah. Amazing. And what a beautiful point. Again, I'm going to respect your time to end on, as we've just covered the value of time, to give us that sound advice. Jazakallah khair, Ustadh Feraidoon. I know from watching the comments, you've been, mashallah, speaking for a good stretch here, but the overwhelming majority of people on this thread are very much, they want you to continue, and I think we're probably going to be asked to do more of these. So inshallah, I hope that you will schedule us in your very busy
Inshallah.
schedule, so that people can further benefit from you, inshallah. I really appreciate you.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you for having us, having me on your
Alhamdulillah, it was our
platform,
honor, really.
and
There's
your
so
all
many
the people
beautiful
that
things.
have tuned in. May Allah bless all of you and
Ameen.
protect you and increase you during this pandemic. And may Allah get this disease, this airborne disease, Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis samai wa samiul alim, which is, this is a really good dua that Sheikh Ahmed Sarhindi recommends for during pandemic, and also Imam Haddad's have it in the prophetic invocation, and Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis samai wa samiul alim 3 times, and A'udhu bi kalimati llahi tammati min sharri ma khalaq 3 times. These are the two that the bare minimum that we have to do every day for protection from this airborne disease. This is for that purpose. Inshallah, may Allah protect everyone who's watching this and their families and their loved ones from this disease, and anybody who's suffering from any kind of pain, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, any sicknesses. We ask Allah to cure them, to heal them, because the healer is Allah. Everything comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that anybody who's struggling with coronavirus right now, amongst the Muslims, amongst the believers, amongst the humanity, that Allah cure them and heal them, inshallah, and on the road to recovery back to their homes, inshallah. And may Allah remove this. May Allah make this a means that people wake up and realize who Allah is, the power of Allah, and get closer to Allah. May this not go in vain, that we go back to our daily lives as though nothing has happened. May this be an awakening of the soul, an awakening of the heart, inshallah, that we become better human beings, become people who would be more beneficial to the society, people who are kinder to our families and our friends and our neighbors, and people who are more generous, inshallah. So may Allah protect all of you and increase you, and make you amongst the salihin wa salihat, and make us amongst people that in the Yawm al-Qiyamah Allah is pleased with us. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam looks at us with a smile and proud of us, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you again, Ustadh Feraidoon. And again, if you have any further programs for people, please let them know. All of you who are on this, if you haven't yet followed Ustadh Feraidoon, I encourage you to follow him. He's active on Instagram as well as Facebook. MashaAllah, he's very active in doing several programs. He's been doing them, so follow him. And if you, again, inshallah, have anything coming up, you mentioned something at 4 o'clock. Is that something for the public, or is it a private?
I'm doing a program Sunday night, Sunday the 19th at 8 p.m. California time. It's called Destiny, A Journey to Eternity. And it's a program, it's on my Instagram. I have the link there.
Can someone please put his handle here for everybody to follow?
So it is there. It is basically what we're going to talk about is about the lives of human beings from pre-eternal, from Yawm al-Alast, through the womb, through the world, hereafter, Day of Judgment, paradise, and then and about just destiny. Because a lot of people have questions, can we change our destiny? Is it preordained already? Do I have a choice? If I have a choice, like, what are my choices? Like, then if I don't have a choice, why am I being punished for no choice? So we will, inshallah, try to go through some of those Aqidah questions as well, and have a Q&A discussion afterwards. So it's 8 o'clock. It's
that's Pacific Standard Time, right?
So yeah, it's Pacific Standard Time, California time, 8 p.m. this Sunday, the 19th of this month. So inshallah, if they go on my Instagram account, which is my name, Feraidoon 786.
Yes, they're
then and then the link is there that they can register. It's going to be through Zoom and Facebook and Instagram Live. So all 3 platforms, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. I can't wait. I think that's going to be an amazing program. I'm so glad you let us know.
Allah barik fikum. I appreciate that. And I want to say, before closing, I want to say that, those people who are on this, watching it, and has been following Hosai John she's been serving this community for over 2 decades, and doing a lot of good work. And sometimes people don't really appreciate people, they do work and do khidmah. And for me, it's beautiful, because when people don't appreciate, Allah appreciates it more, right? So I know you're doing it for Allah, but you're doing a lot of good work, and people need to support your project and listen. She has daily reminders, and I know she's been doing counseling, because I referred to her at least 100 people in the past couple of years that they had like mental breakdowns, suicidal, teenagers, people who are leaving Islam and confused. I said, listen, go call her, talk to her. And she has always been, yeah, she talked to them on the phone. She called them, Skyped them, answered their question, emailed them. And this is something praiseworthy that, she's there with the community. She's, and they're not someone that you can't get a hold of her. So we thank you for that, for what you do on that. We appreciate that. May Allah bless you.
Thank you. And I do count you as one of my teachers. You were one of the first people to introduce me to this beautiful tradition of ours. Although I was practicing, I was definitely in the dark until, alhamdulillah, your service to this community and our ummah by providing the classes and platform for our beloved Sheikh to teach. We credit you for that and many, many, many more things. So that's why I'm so, again, honored that you joined us. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless you, your family, preserve you, protect you. Thank you for your time. Forgive us for taking so much of it. But I really hope this is the beginning of, inshallah, more conversations with you. I've benefited tremendously from listening to you. And I've always said to people that, mashallah, you are someone really with an amazing, vast amount of knowledge and wisdom, and we truly, truly are grateful for you.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Keep us in your du'as in these days, blessed days, inshallah. Ramadan Mubarak to everyone in advance.
Jazakumullah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan again, everybody, for being here. Truly appreciate you guys making the time. I know there's a lot of offerings right now in our community, and there's so many noble efforts. May Allah reward every single person who's using their platform, their voice, to try to spread light, to prepare people for this beautiful month of Ramadan. Please, I ask you, and Ustadh Feraidoon, he's someone he's a family member, but also someone I've known for decades. Very consistent person, mashallah. He's done a lot of good for our community. So please do check out his program coming up on Sunday. Follow him. Make sure that you are, again, benefiting from the teachers that we have access to, who are making themselves available, because we need it. We need to support one another. This is a difficult time for our community. We're being tested, but there's also an incredible amount of opportunity to draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is why I love what he said. What he said was so beautiful, in that nobody is cut off from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we wouldn't have existence if that was the case. So if you are feeling that there is a disconnect, that thought in and of itself is something we need to remove. Rather, maybe we just need to awaken ourselves and just again seize this incredible opportunity and draw nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through reflection, through beautiful reminders as we were just given, and of course to holding on to our community. So inshallah, may Allah protect and preserve all of you. I thank you so much again for spending time with us this afternoon. I'm just going to also mention, because some of you may not know, we do have a program with the Rahma Foundation later this evening at 7 o'clock. So in just a few hours, it'll be on a Zoom, and it's for women only, sisters only. I'm not sure if Ustadh Fadwa is here, but she is one of the founders of Rahma Foundation. She was here earlier. MashaAllah, may Allah bless her. We'll have Dr. Rania Awad, Sister Hana Mukhtar, who is an amazing, again, community member and person that everybody should know of. For those who are asking about advice regarding youth, this would be a good opportunity to listen to these teachers. I will also be a part of that conversation. So I invite you to check out my stories. I have the information on that, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There will be much more programming ahead. Look out for it. And inshallah, we hope again to invite Ustadh Feraidoon and others. This is one of the intentions I have now that I'm a little bit more familiar with the Instagram Live format, that I really want to start to introduce and showcase beautiful people like him that I have been blessed to know, so that we can just spread the light, inshallah, and hold each other during this difficult time for our community. So make dua that inshallah we have tawfiq, and we will see you on the next broadcast. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Also, this will be live for the next 24 hours. I know many of you have asked me to save the recording. 2 hours on my phone. I'm so sorry. I likely will not be able to save it. I invite you to save it. If I'll try, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to. So I invite you, if there are portions of the talk, to go watch the live, use the screen record function on your iPhone, or if you have an Android, they might have the same function, I'm not sure. And you can record segments or the entire broadcast for the next 24 hours. If I am able to, I will absolutely save it and put it on IGTV. If I'm not, please forgive me, but try on your own. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.